Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for watching. Now what I like to do on this channel is literally show whatever I'm doing in my current hobby journey. One thing I've done lately is I've been using a brand new range of brushes for the last month or so. I'll talk about those in a minute and I'll just like to quickly show you what I currently use. Now Army Painter Wargamer brushes, it's kind of been my go-to Kolinsky sable brush for probably the last 10 years or so. I really like the balance between kind of cost and quality, fit my hand, etc, etc. Managed to ruin one of them recently though, we'll talk about in a second. That's what's prompted kind of this video in a way. Rosemary & Co. Now these are synthetic brushes. These are their red dot pointed rounds, and I use those whenever I'm using metallics or anything like that that would really do some damage to a sable brush, and I find they fit that purpose really, really well. And my top end brushes, these are Artis Opus Kolinsky Sable. These really are amazing brushes, very, very high end compared to the others, and I use them when I'm using painting a single miniature, or I just want to feel fancy when I'm painting. Now, I managed to ruin my Army Painter Regiment brush, which is my kind of most used size of brush. Didn't clean it properly halfway through a session, went to make a drink, forgot I'd not cleaned it properly, wrecked the brush. Didn't throw it away, chopped the end off, and I'm using it as a small dry brush, but that prompted me needing some more brushes. Went to my friendly local gaming store and they'd sold out of the regiment size brush. Thought about ordering it offline, which I've done before, but it was going to take a little bit too long. And in the friendly local gaming store that I went to, they had these. Now these are wolf bristle brushes, so not Kolinsky sable, but these are a natural fibre, literally made out of bristles from a wolf. Kind of sounds cool, kind of sounds gimmicky, but the friend of mine who owns the shop had said, look, they've been trying them, and actually they're pretty good, give them a go. So I suppose I did. I picked up this set. Now this is a set of 10. I'm going to unbox them here. You get a sheet of information there about how to care for your brushes. Nothing rocket science on there, just kind of standard brush care. I've done some videos kind of on that before. And you get 10 in the set. Now price wise, these were £32-ish, I think, for the set. So about £3 a brush. I suppose for reference, the synthetic brushes from Rosemary & Co. that I use for metallics are about £3 to £4 a brush. The Army Painter brushes are about £5 to £6 a brush, and the Artis Opus brushes are about £11 to £13 a brush. So on that kind of scale of price, these are kind of entry-level pricing, but apparently will offer better than entry-level kind of quality. So we'll talk about that now. So a good price, 10 brushes in the set, and it says it ranges from 000 to 7. Now what the set doesn't tell you is exactly what the breakdown of those brushes are, and you can see here it is a mix of sizes with a little bit of duplication in the sizing. Now the reason I sort of like this set to start with is that when you filter through the sizes, they've actually duplicated up the sizes that I use most commonly. When I ordered my Artis Opus set, for example, because you can pick the size you use, I ordered a 000, a 00, or 1 to 2, because they're kind of my most used sizes. 1 to 2 when you're painting the bulk of the model, and then your 000 and your 00 for when you're doing faces and small details. So the duplications are kind of around there. So in the set, I'm going to try and list this properly, they're in my hand now. You start with the 000, and I started looking at the quality before I talk about sizing, and actually I found a couple of quality issues you can see there. So straight from the bat, there's a loose bristle sticking out from the tip of that brush. Now if you were to paint with that, that would cause some sort of damage and mess on your paint schemes, so not great. And I did remove that just with a sharp knife, and I had that on a couple of these paintbrushes you see here. So I went through the set and testing, but in general, the tips were quite fine. They're okay, they seem like a relatively decent quality to start with. So size wise, you get a 000 that obviously was the first brush unboxed there with the little bristle issue. You get 00, you get 2 zeros, you get 2 number 1s, you get 2 number 2s, you get a number 3, and then you get a very, very large number 7 that we'll come to later. And I think they've done sensible doubling up of sizes, because they obviously pick the ones you're going to use most often, which means you'll wear them out and you'll have a spare. And I suppose that helps with the longevity of the whole set. Now, longevity wise, if I have a brush that lasts less than a year, that starts to upset me. I do know people that, 2-3 months and that's it, the brush is wrecked, but I like to take very, very good care of my brushes and really have them lasting a long time, like you've already seen there. The Rosemary & Co. one's 3 years. Army Painter sort of released that. I've had the Artis Opus set for probably 2-3 years now, although I don't use that very often. So looking at the quality, I suppose they look decent quality. I suppose it's that balance. Wolf bristle, Is it a gimmick? Is it whatever? I don't really know as to why they've chosen to do it other than cost. I don't know about how sustainable wolf bristles are. I can't find any information on that, but I imagine it's just as sustainable as Kolinsky Sable. So it's obviously a price challenge. It is a nice, interesting gimmick. If you're a Space Wolf player, how could you not paint your Space Wolves with wolf bristle brushes? I suppose that's, again, another edge into that gimmick. Now here, when it's about number 7 later, this is a sort of weird thing about the larger sizes. The 3 and the 7s have very, very pale bristles at the bottom, and they have a load of bristles that don't make it the whole way up the head of the brush. Slightly strange. I've never seen that on Kolinsky brushes, so that's a little bit odd, and it'd be interesting to see how longevity wise they last, because when the head is together, those bristles are stuck in quite nicely. As it starts to age, is it going to fray quite a lot? Don't know. So here's what I've painted over the last kind of month with these brushes. A mix of projects, a mix of styles and themes of doing it. And what I would say is I've not really noticed any quality difference in the eventual paint scheme that I've put out. But again, I'm not the world's greatest painter, so, you know, it's maybe not much of a guide, but I've had just as good a time painting with these brushes in terms of the outputs as I have with the brushes. Now, after a month, I've used 4 of the sizes. So I've not used every single size of brush so far, but I've used a 0 and a 1, 2 and 3, just as a broad spectrum of sizes. One thing I've not mentioned so far is the names. They all have kind of rather cool Norse names. Frecky, Jerry, all kind of wolfy related names. Ties into the kind of gimmick of wolf bristle, I suppose. So that's one thing. Now, how have this stood up after 5-6 weeks? So you can see there, actually the tips are holding up relatively well, getting a little bit of hooking over at the end, which isn't something I've really seen on natural brushes before. That's normally something that synthetic does. Easy to fix though, and you know, they've held together relatively well. They've been comfortable to use. I've got some good results out of them. I would say they're not aging quite as well as I would have expected from like the Army Painter brushes, but again, they are half the cost. So I suppose if you're after a sort of relatively good quality, relatively cheap brush, just to do some basic kind of standard wargaming painting, these will probably suit you really well. If you're a higher level expert painter, which I am not, probably a little bit below kind of what you would kind of normally use, but again, they are very, very cheap at kind of £3 a brush each. So I think, look, give them a go. I'm glad I've tried them. I'm going to keep trying them for a few months, see what longevity is like. And if any of you guys have experienced these before, drop a comment down below and tell me about it. So hope you liked the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again on the channel soon.